Yo, there's a lot I like in this game, but one of my favorite things is pressure, which is the act of hitting an opponent when they block to open them up and get a hit. There is a universal way that every character can do: manual frame traps, resets, and overloading your pressure. And there's a lot of mind games and layers that go into this too. But every character has their own specific tools that give them unique pressure patterns and options. Having broken down many characters' pressures individually, I thought it would be nice to put who I find to have the coolest and most unique pressure together in one vid. This way, a lot of y'all can get an idea just how much pressure can vary amongst the cast. I'm not going to talk too much about mix-ups, 50-50s, and this is meant to be more of a fun and theory type of vid where I showcase the coolest pressure in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Let's start off with a pretty basic all-around character to see how he compares with the rest. SSJ Goku. He has safe lights that allow him to dash reset, a low 2M per frame traps along with 5M and 5LL, specials to safely end on, get plus frames, and even mix on top of basic options. He has a strong same side option. Instead of doing jump super dash that is vulnerable to 2H but still useful, he has same side beam into combo. Remember that same side options only work on stronger opponents who can react to cross ups. And he has a unique extra overhead special that can also be plus on block. Every character has some unique tool like this too, so keep that in mind. Now, SSJ has solid universal pressure, but nothing, crazy unique. So what does unique even look like? On the cooler side, we have Goku Black. He is well known on the channel, having solid normals and universal tools, but what I love a lot is his 5S for pressure. Before, back in the day, you had to really space it out to get up to plus 20, which you could do a lot, but now even on hit, it comes out if you're not too close. This has a set play thing where the projectile hits after a small gap, so if they get hit, you could combo if you're woke and like that, but more importantly, on block, you get a ton of plus frames to continue your turn, where you can dash to continue. They can't even reflect or reversal in this gap. Only thing is that, like any other reset, you need to condition them with a frame trap since they can do things like super dash or vanish to counter, and a slightly delayed 5H works great to catch that. After you get the respect, just continue on abusing these plus frames. The cool thing is that if you think wrong and they block the 5H, you can extend it with a bunch of other frame traps afterwards, or 2S to get even more plus frames for a reset, where you can repeat it again into different options and varying your pressure, or safely end things whenever. What's sick though is how you can layer these with his instant transmission. Since the projectile blade part hits, you can cancel out of this with his teleport as the projectile lingers. Doing slightly delayed 214L into JM is actually super meaty. They can't 2H this, but the timing can be tricky. You can layer this with 214L2 for a low or grab, or even get into solo EX teleport stuff if you can get the spacing right to cross up and really layer your options. So you get a ton of things by yourself. Not to mention you can cancel his 5S with 214S grab too. In the corner, it's not as strong since you need to set up the plus frames with 5H into the late 5S, so you lose a strong 5H frame trap. You can frame trap with 2H though after, but you can't 2S to extend again after the 2H, so it's not as good as the 5H setup. And you can't get as many plus frames, but you can still do your normal stuff and some faker things as well. He also has this spark reset to pressure that covers every option, which I don't know, I think it's one of the cooler looking resets in the game that's actually safe. Next up, we got hit. This fella literally changes the way you need to block by holding back instead of down back and reacting to his only slow low 2M. Hit has a ton of things that makes his pressure cool, like having a negative 25M. Usually this good frame data is for lates, which he has, but having a great reset point later on is amazing as well. Speaking of L's, his 2L hits overhead for a unique ground bounce that lets him set up meaty stance hits to keep them locked down. It's unreactable, which is why we stand block. Then he has his stances, being able to quickly switch sides multiple times, cancel into command grabs, which can be held if they jump to catch landings, and other things as well. And since he phases right through characters, he can use this whenever it's supposed to be your turn to safely stay protected or counter you with a hit. Insane. What's cool is that how at higher levels, when you see his M or H stance, you expect the cross up to come, right? Because that's the only thing that he can technically mix you with. Well, if he delays it, he actually has the same side option as well by clicking a late. Not to mention he has a super strong DR crush too, one of the best in the game. All of this to look out for, and then you suddenly get hit by his super slow 2M. Just the fact that he changes the ideal blocking stance is enough to give him one of the coolest pressure strings in the game. Next up, one of my favorites, Adult Gohan. Being very good at universal pressure, he has really solid normals to pressure, multi-hitting ones, and a low 5L. But more importantly, his unique 2L. It's not as unique nowadays since every character with a non-low hitting 2L is now 0 on block, but his really lets you space out, reset in, and be very ambiguous. Also, back in the day, he was like the only character with this too. What's super cool is how he changes at level 1, where using his new auto combo works as good pressure as it strings back into 2L. So you always have access to this strong pressure point. Even after this, he has 3L and 5S that can be used to frame trap and dash block safely too since they're -2. On top of his overhead back fist that can cancel his first 5L hit to hit super quick and even used to cross up. He also has this Ki Blast to retreat whenever he wants, and that can be paired with his kicks for unrelenting pressure with his 5M2, and you just never know what he's going to do. On top of his fast fall, in order to mix you with IAD fast falls, drum fast falls with assists pinning you down is crazy. Not to mention at level 5 how you can get access to reverse beats, so you can reverse pressure, so stringing 5H to M's to lights. On top of fastfall, and at level 7 when you have access to special cancels where DP comes into play if you want to bait them into thinking Adult Gohan's turn is ending. Now let's talk about Vegito. So speaking of multi-hits and spacing, Vegito does this best. His super long 5L really locks enemies down and drains them mentally, where the arc crushers hit even harder due to priming them, so they're locked in, they're expecting the arcs to come, then boom. It also pushes them back, and instead of talking about having good normals, I want to focus on this spaced out pressure. Everyone can do this. Shimmies to place yourself further back to improve frame data, make them think they have a gap to escape but get punished, and more. I discuss more about this in my shimmy pressure tip. This is most commonly known for setting up plus frame 6Ms to extend your turn, which is super helpful in Vegito's case since he has a 7 frame 5L, so he can't always clash on normal block 6Ms, so having one that's plus gives him his turn. Vegito in particular though has this sweet spot that gives him access to cool patterns. They can't challenge from here. He has so many far-reaching normals to frame trap and really maximize his pressure from this range, and not many characters can do this as safely and effectively as Vegito. This lets him get into 6M setups, safe blast setups, and ambiguous but slower left-rights. On top of being able to continue even after blocked specials. We used to see this a lot more at high level before because it was stronger, but now it seems like people just rely more on his very strong left rights with same size sword or cross up hit. So he's strongest mid-screen and he can't really do much in the corner, but 2L does gel into vanish, giving him a way to safely go back to mid-screen. Although there's this mini mind game to be aware of after the vanish. Something about this when done right is just beautiful, man. Now we got Beerus, a top 5 character as you see from my previous video. Also has great universal things, but what makes him really unique is his orb of pressure. He has a ton of them, from 2S being -2, making it solid dash reset or frame trap point. His orb specials can frame trap with the kick part, where the EX1 leads to full combos mid-screen if you hold down with it, 236H being plus. And these can all be held to just bait out a reflect or reversal, which always keeps them guessing. And he has a bunch of mini nuances that people don't know about that keeps his turn going, allows him to overextend, and always gives him the advantage while pressuring. It can get really cool for Oki situations too, where he has more setups, and where the orbs can come in later in the play to get a hit, like confirming 6Ms solo. But I don't want to talk too much about Oki and 50/50s, just pressure. The orb just looks sick, man. What more can you ask for? Last one to end off this list before some honorable mentions is Majin Buu. Now he has a ton of unique mechanics that no one else has. He has okay normals and can pressure regularly, on top of having this 5M that hits overhead to combo, which is pretty cool. And his 2M that sucks them out of the corner, which comes relevant later. But his specials are what makes him so good. He is the master of overextending, whether it's with cartwheels into long range normals, Ki Blast to prevent them from challenging, or just abusing respect. It just feels and looks very funky to deal with. And his flips that are plus on block. There is a gap here though, but it gets crazy when you realize M flip crosses up and looks exactly the same. This is what makes the 2M thing so cool, since you can mix in a left right or a frame trap when you're in the corner with the M flip, L flip, 5H. Gets crazy. They could technically react after the first part with 2H if they see it coming, but They can't be too late or else they get hit. Again, layered with other things, it gets tough. Same thing applies with the jump ins where you can get a left or right. And the 2H thing here is a bit tighter too. It's just crazy though how you can continue into your pressure patterns if they guess right anyways because it's plus. And he has some cool spacing stuff too. Now I said I was gonna leave mix-ups and Oki out, but his fat toss is too cool, man. It's kinda like Ghost, but imagine with less meter and works anywhere. Depending on combo routes, you get access to solo 50-50s with auto combo grab or 2M frame trap on top of other things. And when using pressure, it's plus on block, which adds on to things. When you add in assist and his 50-50s, Majin Buu has really interesting and fun pressure to watch. Now there are other unique pressure characters like command grab ones. Bluku is probably the best example. On top of all of his tools, there's always that fear factor of the 50-50 grab coming in, so everything is just that much scarier to block. And unlike others, he gets a lot of return for landing on unreactable, you know, with his meter, dump, loops, etc. He also has quick specials to side switch, there's teleport that you can pick the side of, and continue with plus frames on top of solid stagger normals. I think Basecu's pressure can look cooler to me personally because he has these Ki Blast spacing patterns where he can land a grab from super far away, use his 2 or 3S depending on distances, frame traps, delay his shoulder tackle for extra layers, and more. There's also like 16 with this meterless projectile that leaves you plus on block, making him feel endless before dying, and the grab can come at any time once again. There are also unique characters with very strong mechanics like Nappa's Cyberman to mix you up and Ginyu's Ginyu Force. But these also cover other aspects of the game like Oki and mix-up, so it's not just pressure, that's why I don't want to talk about it too much. And it requires specific setups or assists, although once it does get started though, it can keep going solo and can be crazy to deal with. And of course, characters with just very strong pressure overall with tons of tools like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta with his endless jabs, specials to extend and get a hit, Videl with her unique solo capabilities, and even this, you know, auto combo grab thing she got going on that no one else has. Kefla with a variety of patterns, stopping her multi-hitting specials, hitting her layer from downtown that hits low. Yamcha with his unique Wolf Fang special that can be used to cross up, dash across them. And even his homie Krillin, balling with rocks, a solo flare, and after image hitting overhead or used to fake out. And you even got Frieza and his brother Cooler, where Frieza can also access spaced out strings that are very interesting, and Cooler, you know, he gives a different feel to pressure, having lows with this overhead at his disposal. Let me know who you personally think has the coolest pressure and why. I'm very interested to see what you guys think and what you guys find cool in the game. It can be pretty subjective though, but I don't want y'all to get confused with mix-ups, so no 50-50s, just try to focus on the layers of pressure, you feel me? So with that said, I'll see y'all next time, peace.